Hello, it's been about 3 years since my last YouTube update, so I have some stories to tell. I think I was in France on the way back to Bulgaria when I did the last one. So I camped in Paris in my stealth camper for a week or so. It was amazing, the parks on the Seine River, how old and huge they are and how close to the city. Um, Europe's so different from Asia. It's quite spaced out and spacious in comparison to Beijing, Shanghai, and all those Bangkok and places like that that are just so packed. So I enjoyed camping on the Seine, along with all the others, camped up and down the roads in the parks there. And I had to have a COVID test to visit restaurants and clubs and things like that. And they sort of weren't too efficient. There were little tents on the side of the street where you get an antigen test, a RAT test they call here in Australia, rapid antigen test. And supposed to send a message to your phone, which never happened. They gave it like a photocopied sheet that didn't even have your name on it. Some places accepted it, but the ones that didn't like you didn't accept it. So it was a good excuse to be selective with their clientele, I guess. So that was fine. Went on from Paris through Germany, very fast through Germany. And on to Vienna and camped on the river there, on the Danube, the Blue Danube. They even played the theme song for me. Had lunch with some old house swapping friends there from Vienna. Went to the council-owned sauna and like bathhouse place where they crack the whip and make everyone take their clothes off before they're allowed in. It's all been redone since I went there about 10 or so years ago. Very, very glamorous now. Then on to Hungary, which as usual, strangeness about giving you a SIM card so that you can use your Google Maps to drive through. I wasn't able to get a SIM card. Trying all the Vodafones and different mobile operators at one of the shopping centres that I hit after I entered Austria. So I just whizzed through there in a hurry after being a little bit annoyed by that. I had to get I think a PCR test or something, before I could go on to Romania. And I noticed that the Hungarians weren't wearing masks at all, and they were all coughing and had the usual winter flu thing that they have special names for that year. I asked the nurses at the PCR mobile unit why they're not wearing masks, and they said only in hospitals, and they were quite angry that I should even ask such a thing. So anyway, went through Romania fairly fast, and then from Romania back to Bulgaria, so I could get back to my project working on my property in Bulgaria. Except for a terrible road between Romania and Bulgaria, and like dual carriageway, very busy with trucks all pushing you off the road, trying to cram into a little gap that you might have between you and the truck in front. It's a little bit annoying when they try and kill you like that, and just keep on going and do it to everybody along the way. So anyway, back in Bulgaria, back to my project. Bulgaria was making it difficult for anybody to go shopping who didn't have a vaccination certificate. So I just sent other people in to buy the stuff. Must be difficult for the businesses there because, I heard something like 80% of people were not vaccinated at one stage. Anyway, I managed to get by 3 months there, doing a little bit more work on my land and house on the Black Sea. And then I had my first successful workawayer, a 25-year-old Mexican, come in and stay for free accommodation and very healthy food to do a few hours work a day on the project. He was a really nice guy, and then I drove him to Istanbul because he was taking a flight with his friend to off to Cairo for a holiday. Like everybody else, he wasn't impressed with Egypt. Yeah, so when I was there, I bought a new set of solar panels and batteries. It was a funny story because I went back to dealing with a young guy who's quite a little bit super positive. He wanted to come and install the solar panels on my truck at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night in the Istanbul crazy traffic and in the rain. I said no, no, no. So I stretched it to the next morning. So I was at some car park somewhere where him and his volunteer mates all helped to make the solar panels fit on the roof of my truck and then install some big lithium batteries that I was experimenting with. I managed to get a good deal with, but by the time I fought with them all day about their shoddy work, the last thing they did was connect the positive and negative, switched around into my inverter from the solar panels to the inverter, and it blew up the inverter. So I wasn't happy at all. I made them, you know, I paid for the solar panels because they were already installed, and I'd paid the day before, but I hadn't paid for the batteries. So I said, oh, you pay for the repairs to my inverter, then I'll buy you batteries. So I didn't buy the batteries, and they just took them back after all their efforts. So I went to my other supplier who just supplied the usual deep discharge gel type batteries that are tried and tested and don't normally catch fire as much as the lithium ones do. I didn't want to really take that risk if I didn't have to. It would have been interesting to see just how much extra power I would have got from those gigantic lithium batteries that I was going to buy, but didn't happen. So anyway, I got that happening and then just drove all the way down to this east of Turkey to a place called Antalya. The highways are unbelievably good. The infrastructure there is probably better than anywhere in Europe. Surprisingly, you'd think you're going to go like into the war zone near Syria. It wouldn't be that nice, but it was. And Antalya is a seaside resort set between beautiful snow-capped mountains with a rocky, a pebbly beach. And it gets a bit hot in summer, but it's Europe's warmest place to hang out for winter. So that's where I was for the European winter, for 3 months camping in my truck, and it's quite acceptable to just park along the side streets from the beach and sleep there. So I did that for a couple of months, even though I paid like for a hostel for the toilets and kitchen, well, the toilets anyway, and shower, because I didn't have very luxurious facilities in my truck for that. And I found that it was a great place to get some really complicated computer jobs done that I couldn't manage anywhere else. So I don't know if there's something in the geography there, but it worked for me anyway. There's a few kind of mini cyclones and things, and then after that I drove through the snowy mountains to the next city up and all the way up to like the west of Turkey through Gallipoli, which I found to be the most civilized part of everywhere in Turkey I'd been, where the culture is kind of like you can Google the Turkish ice cream salesman that tease the customer by pulling the ice cream back and carrying on like clowns. Well, basically that sums up the culture where, you know, you go to a restaurant and they'll give you a choice of 2 wines and you'll say, I like that one, so they give you the other one, and that seems to always happen. So to get what you want, you have to ask for the opposite of what you want. That might work. Otherwise, they're lovely people, and I get great deals there. And of course, everyone knows the currencies fall and through the floor, and so it's incredible value. And down in Antalya, there's a lot of rich people. It's like the Riviera of Turkey, and you got all the, you know, good supermarkets with all the, you know, nice stuff, but it's still really, really cheap. You know, a 5-star hotel might cost you $60 a night. If they can put up with a camper in dirty thongs and stuff, they're not really impressed with rich foreigners that can afford all the luxuries. So anyway, from Turkey I went back to Bulgaria for another 3 months, but by that time I think immigration was like not too happy for some reason. They gave me a hard time on the way in. I had to detour and use a different exit to get out of Bulgaria into Turkey. That took a few extra hours on the trip. And then on the way back they said, oh no, you can't come back for the normal 3 months, like we're not letting you. So after hanging around the border, the Turks negotiated with the Bulgarians to let me in for the 10 days that I had left on my 3 months from the previous visit. And so I went back to Bulgaria and asked around everybody, and no one could seem to come up with an idea. So I drove up to Romania thinking I could go there for 3 months, but they wouldn't let me in being not vaccinated into Romania. So I drove back again. That was another like 12 hours drive. Very embarrassing for an eco-warrior. So anyway, I got desperate and called the consulate for Australia in Sofia, and the woman there was very helpful. She said, oh, they'll have to give you another 3 months, but you have to apply formally at the immigration office. So I did that and paid the insurance and filled the form, and a week or so later they called. I went back in and picked up my 3 months extension. So I got a few jobs done. By that time they dropped all the COVID stuff in Bulgaria so I could go shopping again. And I did a bit of work. I was able to install a wind turbine that I bought in Turkey. Cost me about $1,000, which was a bargain, a big one, you know, like over a meter, like 1.5 meters across the fan blades. So I installed that, but I didn't put it in the right place, and there was turbulence, and it was like spinning around like a mad thing, and ended up draining the batteries more than charging them. So I just gave up and thought, oh, I'm going to have to do it next time when I'm here, like for a longer time, and I'm not just here for 3 months and then have to pull it down anyway when I go. So anyway, I stayed the 3 months in Bulgaria, and time to go to leave again. So I was going to go to Italy, but my friend in Thailand said come and help him with his renovating his many condos that he has there. So instead, it didn't take me much talking into to go to Thailand. So they had the COVID pass thing still happening there. You had to get it on the internet pass before you could get on your flight to Thailand, and I had to get the PCR test before I did that. So I went back to Turkey to fly out of Turkey to go onto Thailand, but they kicked up another ruckus and said, oh, you've only been out for 3 months, and you can't come back in. So they just let me in, considering I'd paid $100 for a 6 months visa, but that didn't matter. I don't know how that works. I had the dates and everything that I could stay, but apparently that wasn't applicable. I think they like you to be out for 6 months between visits, even though they'll sell you a visa and tell you are allowed. So anyway, I just stayed for one night till I got the PCR test and flew to. I couldn't go to Thailand because I wasn't able to get the COVID test in time. I wasn't able to fill the form either because the Turks or someone there had blocked the IP address for the Thai COVID pass website, so I wasn't able to get onto the website until I thought of using a proxy server. So I filled the form and was thinking I might have to wait a day before I could leave, before I get this pass approval back, because they said it might take a day or two. So I flew to Egypt, Cairo, stayed there for the night, and of course the Thai pass comes through in a few hours anyway. so I could have just gone straight to Thailand, but I didn't want to risk upsetting the Turks staying for too long on my $100 visa that they sold me. It was supposed to last 6 months, as I have to recap. So I went to Cairo, had a nice night in a hotel right near the airport, and then the next morning I took a taxi from outside the hotel, and the taxi was chased by a policeman who took his ID and made the poor old guy panic, thought he was having his ID stolen, but the policeman just went to the airport and then gave it back to him when he dropped me off at the airport. So I don't know if they're having that much trouble that they have to watch the taxi drivers doing a 2-minute drive, you know, between a hotel and the airport. It wasn't even that. So anyway, that was a bit of excitement, and then off to Thailand. I was happy to get an Emirates flight on the big A380 Super Jumbo, and I was very impressed with that. Its economy was quite acceptable. Then off to Thailand, and of course I loved a week or two in Thailand. It was supposed to be maybe 3 months, but I decided that it was best to go on to Australia instead, where I could make the arrangements for getting the residency visa for when I go back to Europe. So yeah, had a great time in Thailand with all my old friends, and then off to Sydney, and first time back in Australia after 5 years. Was quite sentimental. Even the immigration at Sydney Airport looked sentimental to see all the visitors, all the expats come back after a long stay away. Many dramas in Australia, I'm told, about COVID and the enforcement of strict lockdowns, and turned, I'm told, into a horrific police state. So the Sydney side is telling me. So yeah, staying in hostels in Sydney for a couple. Was it for 2 months, I think, in Sydney in hostels, which was absolutely an achievement because they hate oldies like me in hostels. And then up to Cairns through my little hometown in central Queensland to visit my rallies. And then in Cairns I was lucky to get a job in a newly opened share house that was right in the middle of the city. Cairns is great, fantastic atmosphere, all happy people, beautiful warm sunshine and beaches and great like food like you'd get in Asia, all the tropical, you know, fruit, papaya, pawpaw, you know, all that stuff. So I just loved that for a couple of months, but the young French backpackers kind of took over the share house and elbowed all us Aussies out one by one. So now I'm back in Sydney. So I think that's it for this story. And there was a little drama on the way through Brisbane. The hostel I stayed at gave this free breakfast that I didn't really want, but I couldn't resist. It was like yogurt that had been rechurned for the last, I don't know how long, that everyone had coughed and spluttered in. So then of course I got I didn't have my juices, so I wasn't having my weekly carrot and ginger juice, and immunity was down, and I picked up a horrible cold and cough. Not a cold, but just a cough and a sore throat. Very unusual for me. But I managed to shake that off in a few days and totally in a few weeks without any medication or anything at all. I don't think I've missed any excitement in the whole many years since the last YouTube update. So that's about all. The other tip is that I buy the tickets at the airport after like waiting for 2 years to get a refund from Air France when I was going to go to Europe earlier and had to change the plans because of COVID. So now I just look at the flights on the internet, see how many seats they are, rock up at the airport and pay as I check in. I suppose if everyone did that, the whole system would fall apart. But if you're leading the trends, I guess you can get away with it until everyone starts doing it. So anyway, see you in another 3 years with all the next lot of excitement. if I get enough interest, I'll even throw a few pictures in to go along with what I'm saying. Horse riding is my passion, and Thailand's the best place for that. On the beach at Hua Hin, I'm sure the Thais are the best people in the world with animals. They always keep the elephants happy, and the horses are happy. You know, even the stallions are tame as little puppies. So I was able to swim with the horses on the beach and gallop up the beach, and you know, it's all quite acceptable there. It's a long tradition to allow horse riding on the beach and amongst the sunbathers. It's a perfect beach for it. There's plenty of room, even in crowded Thailand. And I had some nice horse rides near my favourite place in Turkey, Antalya, a place called Saida. It was very friendly and helpful. I went for some beach horse rides there, even with a local who'd go with me. Okay, that's it. Cheers.